Salome, this is Andre. I'm assuming that it's over to me. Is that true?
Thank you, Andre. I'm just quickly going to introduce my other colleagues. Okay, so I'm Salome Smith. We also have Ms. Onelihle Makedama, who's from the Mafikeng campus, and then Ms. Naledi Modise from our Vaal campus. We will be chatting to you today. We also have the privilege of having a guest speaker, Professor Andre Heymans, who is from the Economic and Management Sciences on the Potchefstroom campus. Just before we start, Prof. Heymans, maybe we can just run through the discussion points. Today, we will be looking at financial management, technological considerations, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, social adjustment, mindfulness, and then we will also have our usual Q&A afterwards for any questions you might have. Okay, so our first point is the financial management. And just before we start, we're just quickly going to run a poll to see where you currently are in terms of your finances. So let's have a poll here. I'm just going to launch that. Okay, so there we go. We've got 3 questions. The first one is, are all your financial requirements met during the month? Please select yes or no. Number 2, are you currently saving any money or actively trying to save? Yes or no. And question number 3, would you benefit from managing your money more wisely? Yes or no. So students, please have a go at the questions. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to answer. Okay, so we've just got over half of us who have voted. Let's have a look at the results. All right, so for the first question, are all your financial requirements met during the month? We had 45% who said yes and 55% who said no. All the requirements are not met during the month with the finances that they have. Question number 2, are you currently saving any money or actively trying to save? 55% said yes, 45% said no. So it's about half and half for those two. Number 3, would you benefit from managing your money more wisely? Well, I'm very glad to see that 100% of you said yes, then you are in the right place. All right, and then with that, I'm going to hand over to you, Professor Heymans, for some tips on managing our finances. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure of the broadband capabilities here, so I'm going to switch on my video so people can at least see me, so they know they're not speaking to a ghost or listening to one. So Lenny, I'm not sure if you have enabled my sharing capabilities. It seems like you have, so I can actually share my presentation. Okay, just a quick question. Can everyone see this?
We can see it, yes.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to start my presentation. Let's hope that I can, yes, I can do so. So we've seen in the polls here that we've got about half and half of people who do not come up with their money. I see there's overwhelming need for financial planning, I'm going to say education, so to speak, and I hope that I can add to, well, some things that you did not know this morning. Just be reminded that this is a very basic presentation. 10 minutes is not a lot of time, so I'm going to try and do my best to be as comprehensive as possible, but also looking at my audience, knowing that I'm working with both experts and non-experts in the same group, so I'm going to start with the basics. So I want to just actually say that, financial, your personal finance is a matter of active management, and you'll see here that, I I think that, those who plan to or fail to plan to fail, which means that if you do not take active control of your finances, you will end up not managing them, and in the end, you'll probably have less than you started off with. So the first real step in managing your finances is to actively go and list all your expenses. Now, you'll see that as you start listing all your expenses that you know about, you will eventually get to a point where you actually can categorize those expenses. And if we've got time, I'll show you what an advanced version of that would look like. But for now, you need to actually just put down all the expenses that you know about. I mean, there's obvious things that you would know about, like different foodstuffs, things like personal hygiene items, things like, soap and shampoo and a washing cloth and whatever that might be, deodorants, makeup, whatever it is that you spend on yourself. Then, seeing as you're all students, you will definitely also know that you need to get textbooks. And we can speak about some tips and tricks later about trying to see how you can get those, cheaper, or find ways around spending so much money on all these different items. But for now, the first exercise would just be to write down physically every single item that you know that you would be spending money on. Once you've got those expenses down into categories, you will leave sort of a space for unknown things or expenses unknown to you at the time. So do know that even though you're going to do your real utmost best to write down everything that you know about, eventually there will be something that you either did not think of or that you knew you had as an expense, but you forgot about it. And then there's also those unforeseen expenses, those emergency spends. You were on your way to class and you got into an accident or something, a bee stung you or something happened, and you have to visit a doctor, or you have to suddenly, fork out money to fix something. Maybe your phone broke or something happened. So once you've got your categories of known expenses, also put down unknown expenses with a question mark next to it, and then another category for emergency spending. Now, once you've got all those categories set out, you can then start to get an idea of how much money all these different items cost. Now, unfortunately, like all things that's really important, this will take a bit of work. You do have to put down physical rand and cent amounts next to each of those items. And this is part of the planning phase. You've not spent money yet. This is still just planning to make sure that you are successful at this personal finance thing, as we can, if we can call it like that. So by having different categories and putting down amounts next to every single item on that list, you will start to get a very good idea of the money that you need just in order to survive. So money for food, money for other groceries, personal items, money for textbooks, money for transport, money for data, that's a very important one, money for all the different things that you need to spend money on in the course of the month. Now, some of you might actually receive a lump sum of money, and then you'd have to buy everything yourself, including paying rents, maybe for where you live. Others might have different arrangements where some of your expenses are already sort of prepaid. And in that way, you can spend, or you have the money that you've got, you will be spending on less items. However, actually, I think it is a very good idea, especially in this stage of your life, to start keeping a proper budget and to start actually planning for all the different expenses. Because one day, even though someone might be buying, might have bought a car for you, or someone might be paying your rent for you, at some point, once you finish here, the goal is for you to actually go out in the world, get a proper job, get, hopefully lots of money for your work, and then you'll have to actually manage your own finances. And at some point, you will be paying your own rent, or buying your own house, and buying your own car, and be liable for all the different expenses in life. And if you're really lucky, then at some point you'll marry and have children, and then you'll also be liable for their expenses. So your expenses will only increase from this point on. Now that you've got your categories down, you've got all your expenses listed, those known and just categories for unknown expenses. You will put random amounts to it, and then you will add it all up, and you'll see how much money you actually need to put away every month for those expenses. Now, the very important thing that you need to do is you need to also make a list of all your income sources, because you'll see that once we know what money is going to be spent, you also need to know what money is coming in, because we are going to play the one off the other. We are going to take our income, that is our hard limit of money we can actually spend, and we're going to subtract from that all the money that we think we are going to spend. Now, obviously, in the end, you should plan to spend less than you have, because by constantly spending less than you actually have, it means that you are saving, you are accruing money. Now, that you'll see that some of that money that you save might actually have to be used at some point for emergency spending or spending on on-hand expenses. But if you've planned properly and you've kept some money aside for emergency and unknown items, then you can actually save money, and that money later on you can invest, and that's how you really build wealth, is by saving money and then investing that money for a return. Great, so that is the planning phase. Once you've got your plan set up and you know now what you're going to be spending money on and how much you're going to be spending on those items, and you've now planned to spend less than you actually have, it now comes to the execution of this. So when you look at the execution, it's very important that you actually now track the money that you actually spend. So not only should you have an idea of what you are planning to spend, but you should also track what you are actually spending. And when you track what you're actually spending, it's possible to, over time, adjust your planning. Because now you can see that, oh, you know what, I actually kept out, let's say, 500 Rand for groceries, but it was way too little. I should have actually planned. I forgot about a couple of things. I see that my actual spending is more like 1,000 Rand for groceries. And that then you should, so your actual results will now feed into your planning side when you plan for the next month. So you record your expenses, obviously also record your income, because that's the time as well. And then you can now make informed decisions based on the data, based on what you actually see happening. So the idea really is just to plan before you spend, and then once you've spent, you record the information so that you can plan more effectively in the future. And then once you've done that, it's a matter of self-discipline. It's a matter of just, making sure that you always spend less than you have. Because remember, if you spend up to your actual absolute income limit for 1 month, it means that you've got no leeway for the next month. If you've got access to, let's say, 1,000 Rand for this month, and you've spent the last cent of that 1,000 Rand, and next month you have expenses, your normal expenses, but something bad happens, there's some emergency, then you don't actually have money for that emergency to deal with that. Now, I know that, in some cases, as different students, you might get a bursary payout, you might get NSFAS payouts, you might get, someone giving you a lump sum of money, and that now you should be able to stretch that over a specific period of time. And the best way to really do that is to do the planning beforehand. So don't be tempted to actually spend a large amount of money if you get a lump sum payment. First go, look at what you are supposed to be spending, spend according to that, and then at the end of the term, you can actually then, if you then have money left and if you've already saved, then you might be able to treat yourself, with a new set of clothes or, drinks out with your friends or whatever the case might be. But don't be tempted to use lump sum payments, because you get the idea, our brains are wired like that. We see all this money and we think that, suddenly we are, richer than we were yesterday. So there's a very real temptation to spend that money. So the secret sauce of this is to make sure that you keep that self-discipline. Right, I've also included in this presentation, I can share this with you guys. I've included some useful links. And then I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Prof. Heymans. Any questions now for the budgeting part? We will also have our Q&A afterwards. So if you still want to think about it, you're welcome to ask your questions then, or pop them in the chat box.
Just quickly, Salome, I just wanted to ask, I've got another meeting starting at 2:45. I just wanted to know, could we maybe bunch my questions to now? Is it possible?
Yes, we can give a few minutes for that. Any budget-related questions from the students?
I see there's a hand up in the comment box.
Yes, good day, everyone.
Hello.
I have a question related to a situation where you don't really have a regular source of income. How do you work around that? Because you can't really plan, because you don't really know how much you're going to get.
Yes, that's a very good question. I think, and look, I mean, that might very easily happen. You might leave university and one day become sort of, well, maybe a business owner and you have irregular income, or you might become a contractor of some sort with irregular income. The way that you need to plan for that is to ensure that you, in the beginning, especially in the beginning, set your budget really tightly. Make sure that you plan for the minimum amount of money that you need to survive. And then it's a matter of saving whatever excess money you've got. Put that aside. I mean, obviously, it's quite difficult if you don't know how much money you're going to be having. But I can tell you that, and I'm going to answer your question in this way. If you plan properly, you should be able to make that money stretch. You have people who are able to just make it with R500,000 a month, and they're just covering their basics. Then you've got people who just make it on R2,000 a month. Those are two very different amounts. But if you've got a hard cap on your income, and in your case, or the question that you're asking is you don't know what that hard cap is, but it is possible to make that money stretch in both instances. But what people easily do is they look at their income and then they decide on how much can they be spending. The discipline really is to try, especially in the beginning, if you're unsure about your income streams. If you in the beginning, just make sure that you cover the basics. Make sure that you plan for minimum spending. And if you have money over, then over time you will learn how to you can adjust that spending. You can now start to do other things with your money as well. But if you save from the beginning, you'll be in a very good position to one day at least build your wealth that way.
All right, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Any other questions?
It looks like we're okay. Thank you, Prof. Heymans, for the insightful session and for joining us with your expertise today. We've received some really valuable information that I'm sure the students will be able to apply. So thank you so much and all the best for the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, and you guys as well. And obviously, thanks for all the good work. I think it's really nice to have a program like this for students who are sometimes unsure about what to expect from the years at university. So yeah, guys, best of luck, and that you get a lot of valuable information for the rest of the session. Keep well, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let me just quickly get back to sharing my screen with you, then we will continue. John-Rick, can you confirm, can you see my screen, the piggy bank?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to look at our second discussion point of the day, the technological considerations. All right, so that forms part of adjustment to university life, obviously. COVID-19 and the resulting lockdown has brought a significant change in the way we learn and work, and it's not all bad. To a certain extent, we've been forced to conduct our business online or fall behind and even fail in many areas of our lives. The shift to the technological or online environment has brought both challenges and joys, and it's important that we grab at the opportunity to evolve so that we don't get left behind. As of this year, the NWU has made owning a laptop or equivalent smart device compulsory for candidates who want to apply to study here. Those of you who are senior students may already be aware of the importance of owning such a device for keeping up with assignments and information shared by lecturers. For those of you who don't currently own a personal laptop, there are other options available, like the computer labs and libraries on campus. If you use these resources, make sure that you plan for when you are going to use them so that you can make the most of your time spent at the public computer and to make sure of what you need to complete while you're there. You don't want to get back to your flat and realize you've forgotten to submit an assignment. With a laptop or smart device, you of course need a stable internet connection as well, either Wi-Fi at home or a stable connection at the library or computer labs. The benefit of working on campus, whether in a lab or on your own device, is of course that we provide free Wi-Fi to our students, which is a bonus. You don't need to worry that much about buying data for yourself if you can use the campus Wi-Fi. The next thing most of us had to quickly learn was the many online platforms there are available to use, especially with most of the classes now being online and lecturers communicating via online platforms such as eFundi. If you're not sure how these platforms work, look out for manuals or even Google search tips on how best to use them. There are manuals available for all of these platforms. This, of course, links to the computer skills we need as well. Submitting assignments online means you have to make use of programs like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, to name just a few. Train yourself on how to use these programs so that you can get the most out of them to deliver quality work. Then you can even add your computer skills on your CV when applying for work one day. It's a big adjustment to jump from high school learning to university learning. A lot of the work is self-study and unassisted, and you don't have teachers spelling out everything you need to know for the exam, etc. You need to be able to discern between what is important and what can wait for later. The shift between normal contact classes and online learning can be just as big, even though it may feel like you have a lot of time on your hands because you're not physically attending classes on campus. You still need to manage your time at home, making sure you attend your online classes and keeping up with the many deadlines for assignments. Set up a timetable or a schedule to stay on top of commitments and to make sure everything is submitted on time. Try and eliminate distractions while learning online, like your cell phone beeping next to you or a TV that's on somewhere in the house can distract you from what you need to focus on at this moment. Creating a dedicated workspace will also allow you to feel more motivated to work rather than lying on your bed with your laptop and possibly falling asleep while listening to a lecture because it's so comfortable there where you're lying. Not everyone wants to ask questions in class, especially if the class is presented over Zoom. We feel awkward talking to a screen, but asking questions is a valuable part of the learning process. If you are uncomfortable asking your questions during the class, actively take notes describing your question and contact the lecturer privately later to discuss what you are unsure of. Take small breaks between your online classes to prevent fatigue. We even get tired on a Zoom meeting, believe it or not. It's just as exhausting as a physical class attendance. Take a walk around the room, get some fresh air, or have a drink of water. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help if you feel stuck or overwhelmed. Contact your lecturers and make use of the support services on campus if you need assistance. So let's have a look now at how to maintain good mental and physical health. This one is for you.
Thank you, Salome. Good afternoon, students and colleagues. In this section, we'll be looking at how to maintain a healthy lifestyle. The term healthy lifestyle refers to habits and practices which help to keep and improve people's health and well-being. A healthy lifestyle is a way of living that lowers the risk of being seriously ill, dying early, or being diagnosed with chronic illness or mental illness. Not all diseases are preventable, but a large proportion of deaths, particularly those from coronary heart disease and lung cancer, can be avoided. Being healthy includes healthy eating, physical activities, quality sleep, and stress management. So in this section, I'll be sharing tips on what you can do to improve the 4 components in your life. Here is a diagram on the various aspects of your health. Sleep, stress, diet, and exercise. And also, this diagram also shows us that if ever it happens that you are not doing well in any of these areas, it is important for you to ask for help. Now, let's look at diet. Remember, I said that I'll be sharing tips. The first one is eat healthy and try and make sure that all your meals are balanced. This means that your diet should contain food that it comes from all food groups, being your grains, vegetables and fruit, dairy, fat and oils. And also make sure that you have a limited intake of comfort foods. I know that sometimes because of time constraints or because maybe of feeling overwhelmed and stressed, as a student, it becomes very easy for you to think, no, I'll just make noodles and I'll have that for dinner. Or just decide that you'll just have a packet of chips for lunch and that'll be it because you have an assignment to attend to. If you don't limit the intake of comfort foods, you may find yourself not giving your body enough nutrition, and also you may find yourself gaining weight. This then brings us to snacking. Even when you are snacking, it is important for you to maybe consider alternative means of snacking. Instead of eating chips, try having nuts, like peanuts. They're also as affordable as chips are. They may not be as good at first, but with time, you can actually realize that they're actually nice. Instead of snacking on chocolates, try have dried fruit or something. That can help a great deal when it comes to weight management, and also it gives you energy, and your energy gets sustained for much longer than a chocolate bar, than energy or nutrition from a chocolate bar would. Make sure that you drink water regularly. 8 glasses a day, 2 liters a day, 1 glass per 10 kg of your body weight. It's up to you to decide which scale or which measurement you're going to use for your water intake, but just please make sure that all your fluid intake is mostly water. And remember that I know that some of you like, lemon water, water with fruits and whatever. If you enjoy those beverages, try and make sure that you still drink clean, unsaturated water, because when you drink water with lemon juice or with other flavorings, your kidneys still need to work to get rid of the flavorings. So it's important that you drink clean water to wash and keep your kidneys clean. Also, if you are a person that consumes a lot of sugary drinks or alcohol, make sure that you avoid binge drinking. Don't drink those beverages a lot, and because that affects your body's health, your nutritional health, and also sometimes your functioning, especially when it comes to alcoholic drinks. You end up sometimes not being able to actually attend to your academic needs because you are tired, because you were drinking the day before, or because you have a hangover, so because you have a headache on that day, you cannot function properly. And also, lastly but not least, try avoid eating immediately before going to bed, because this will not just affect your weight because you're gaining energy that you're not going to use, but it can also affect the quality of your sleep. Now, moving on to exercise. Try and make sure that you exercise daily for at least an hour. Remember that exercise is not only for weight loss, but it can also help keep your body fit and healthy. When you are exercising, try focus on various aspects of your body. So instead of just maybe, for example, if you decide you want to go to gym as part of your exercise, you don't get to gym and only focus on your cardio. Also work on your legs, work on your arms and other aspects so that your body is well-rounded and fit. If you decide to walk, try and make sure that maybe you pace your steps, because when you walk slowly, yes, your body is working, but when you start walking faster, then your body speaks to your cardio and it helps regulate the functioning of your cardiovascular muscles. I know that for most people, exercise is not fun, it's not exciting, it's something that most people would try avoid. So if you're one of those people, try make exercising fun for you. Use skipping ropes, use dumbbells, try use, what are those squishy balls, that inflated balls, roll around in that, try see what routine can you do that will keep you healthy and fit, but at the same time, that will make exercising exciting for you. And yes, before you exercise, please avoid overeating, because if you eat immediately before you need to exercise, that affects your functioning, that affects your ability to exercise. You can find yourself either puking or you can find yourself running out of breath because your body is still trying to digest food while you are in the process of trying to exercise and keep it fit. And lastly but not least, I know that sometimes when people exercise, they think that because they exercise, they have to eat a lot of food to get a lot of energy so that they can exercise. If you're exercising to keep fit and to keep healthy, overeating basically it defeats the whole purpose of exercise. Try and make sure that you eat the right foods, which is a well-balanced diet, and make sure that your portions are also good so that you're able to reach your weight goals. And you're able to reach your body goals. If you want to lose weight, make sure that the amount of food that you eat is not food that will make you gain weight, which means you have to exercise a lot longer and a lot more to get rid of that weight. Then this now brings us to sleep. I know that most students generally have a tendency of skipping on sleep because they feel that it's a waste of time, because that leaves them with very little time to study. But I want to assure you that if you skip on sleep, then that affects your ability to function and actually study. So to make sure that you are in a position where you're actually able to study and get your body and your brain to a place where it can your brain to a place where it can grasp information and retain information well, make sure that you sleep. To make sure that you get good quality sleep, you can start by establishing a routine that will ensure you that you get enough sleep. Students or people that are at varsity age, the average, or rather the minimum amount of hours that is recommended for sleep is 7 hours plus. So sleeping 2 hours, sleeping 3 hours, sleeping 4, 5 hours is actually not enough. Because remember, when you sleep, you don't just only rest and allow your body to repair itself, but you're also giving your brain time to process the information that you gathered throughout the course of the day in your lectures, so that that information can be retained in your memory. When it comes to sleep, try to go to bed around the same time each night, so that you can prevent the possibility of sometimes not being able to sleep, sometimes finding yourself waking up in the middle of the night because your body is tired of sleeping, or finding your body actually not even wanting to fall asleep because you decided to sleep 3 or 4 hours later than you usually sleep. Now, also try avoid staying awake overnight over an extended period of time. I know that sometimes there's academic pressure and you feel if you could just sleep a few hours later, that might allow you to get more work done. That's okay if it's something that you do once in a while, but if you do it a lot more often, you end up compromising the quality of your sleep, which also means that ultimately your academics can be affected, because when you don't sleep early or when you don't get enough sleep, your brain does not get enough time to process and grasp information when you study. Yes, I know that sometimes you might be, because you didn't sleep the day before or a couple of days before, you might be tempted to oversleep. Try and make sure that you might be tempted, to sleep in. Try and make sure that you sleeping in doesn't mean oversleeping. If you sleep late at night, maybe if you're used to waking up very early in the morning, you can sleep an extra hour or 2, but try and make sure that you don't find yourself for 12 hours or for 10 hours or for 13 hours a day, because that affects your body. You end up waking up feeling tired and fatigued, which means that you probably for the rest of the day, and that can also cut out time of the day that you could be using to do something much more productive. And yes, lastly, try avoid not sleeping the night before tests and exams, because you may find yourself either forgetting the work that you studied because your brain did not get time to actually process the information and retain it in your memory, or because of fatigue, you just fall asleep during your test or your exam. And lastly, being a student sometimes can be very stressful, and you may find yourself not being stressed just by academics, but being stressed by life circumstances and life experiences that you go through on a daily basis. So it's important for you to make sure that you learn healthy stress management tips, so that when you find yourself in a position where you feel stressed and overwhelmed, you are able to cope and still be able to continue with your daily functions. Yes, adequately managing stress means that you reduce the possibility or the chance of you being diagnosed with a mental illness or you experiencing mental illness due to high stress levels. And tips on what you can do to help manage your stress are doing calm or centering activities like yoga or meditation, or doing physical activities like walking, jogging, dancing, or going to the gym to basically encourage the production of mood-lifting hormones, which are called endorphins in your body. If you don't have time for those activities, maybe you can learn breathing exercises that mainly focus on breathing deeply so that your body can stay calm even in a state of distress. And also the last thing that you can do is to manage your stress is to maybe just take time to understand what the cause of the stress is, because this will help you determine what you actually need to do to reduce the stress. It can help you determine whether just sitting and breathing deeply is enough, or it can determine whether maybe you just need a bit of energy. So in that case, it means that you might need to take a walk or a jog. And lastly, if the stress is overwhelming and you feel that breathing deeply or taking a walk or a jog won't help, you might find yourself wanting to consider to go for therapy or for counseling, so that the counselor or the therapist can help you resolve whatever is causing your stress, and also for you to learn stress management tools that you can use so that you feel much more capable to manage and handle stress on your own. Thank you, colleagues. This then brings us to social adjustment. Naledi, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable, and thank you to our guest speaker and Salome for your point of discussions. So the fourth point of discussion is social adjustment. As we're all aware that the COVID-19 pandemic has actually restricted our face-to-face interactions, and obviously our social functioning has been affected. This has forced us to find new ways of actually socializing. Okay, social adjustment can be defined as having meaningful relationships and interactions with others in order to develop a sense of satisfaction. And then as human beings, a human being is a social being which lives in a society. And everyone needs acceptance and recognition from and within the society. Human beings try to behave in accordance with the norms of the society so that they can adjust with others. And then perception and social adjustment. Perception is the processes of behavior such as learning, maturation, sensation, perception, motivation, and they're all significant in life as they contribute to our process of adjustment. So maturation refers to the capacity to relate to others with warmth and intimacy, as well as an expanded sense of self. And then social adjustment is a psychological process which involves coping with new standards and values. And in the technical language of psychology, it actually refers to getting along with the members of the society as best as one can, and this is called adjusting. Okay, so social challenges which are experienced by students, these include interpersonal challenges as well as social discomforts. Students normally have trouble forming new relationships, and they may also feel anxious about engaging with other people from other backgrounds. Feeling lonely, feeling homesick, or feeling isolated is also common, especially during the first few weeks. And I'm sure that first years can actually agree with me on this one. And then communication difficulties, culture shock, changes in food. Onelise did take us through diet, and also housing, which is your environment, are all challenges that students can face. And then ways in which a person or student can actually overcome social challenges. This includes using support from back at home, staying in touch with friends and family. We can use our different social platforms in order to be able to connect or catch up with our family and our friends and family members. And then also create a peer network, share your current experiences with other new students. That can actually go a long way, because you might find that what you're actually struggling with, other students are also struggling with it. And then also monitor your attitude, be open to new friendships and interactions with other people from other backgrounds. But also bear in mind that you should respect other people's viewpoints, and always think that it's better to agree to disagree. And then get in touch with students from your high school or home area. Make dates, or even make plans to get in touch with your high school mates, or to even have any form of reunion with your friends. And then give yourself some time between lectures and assignments. Like Salome mentioned that, as much as interactions face-to-face used to be a bit challenging, in the sense that they can take a long time, it's important that you also take breaks, having taken some time off to get water, and then walking around just so that you can have some form of movement is also crucial within your online studies. And then give yourself some time between lectures and assignments. I did mention it. Get involved on campus activities. Join at least one society, club, or groups that interest you. In the current context, attending virtual events such as the webinars that we having. Okay, and then social media and mental health. Many students enjoy staying connected on social media, but excessive use can actually lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, isolation, and also a fear of missing out. Because one way or the other, social media tends to influence how we view ourselves, how we view the world, and also how we actually interact with those that are around us. Here's how to modify your habits and to also ensure that you improve your mood, because social media can impact on your mood negatively. Use an app to track how much time you spend on social media each day. In that way, you'll be able to know how much time you spend on social media, and also to keep track of all the sites that you visit on social media. And then turn off your phone at certain times of the day, such as when you're studying, when you're having dinner, and then also don't take your phone to the bathroom. Don't bring your phone to bed. The bed should be used only for sleeping or relaxing. And then disable social media notifications. This can help you so that you can be able to concentrate better when you're doing your schoolwork, and also to avoid or eliminate distractions. And then also limit the number of times you actually check your social media. Make time for reflection and also practice mindfulness, as this can actually help you to calm down and to also regulate your stress level, and for you to just be able to deal with the stresses that you're experiencing, the pressure that you'll be experiencing also academically.
Thank you, Naledi. And then on that note, we're going to have a look at mindfulness and why it matters. In everyday life, our brains often pull us back to things that happened in the past, or push us forward to things that might happen in the future. Very rarely does your brain allow you to focus on the present. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is being here now, being present, focused on the things around you, and not mentally distracted or absent. Mindfulness has many benefits on different levels of our lives, including academic, psychological or mental, and behavioral. On academic level, the practice of mindfulness can help us manage and work through stress more effectively. It can improve cognitive performance, attention, and memory. On psychological level, it helps to reduce stress and anxiety, as well as symptoms of depression. It helps us discover better coping skills and emotional and social intelligence. We are less likely to jump forward to worst-case scenarios or to reflect on past failures if we practice mindfulness on a regular basis. On a behavioral level, mindfulness increases self-compassion and helps us discover healthier responses to unpleasant or difficult situations. Just have a look there in the left-hand bottom corner of the screen. We've got two words there. One is called Headspace and one is Calm. Those are actually two apps that can help you practice mindfulness. So when you've got some time, have a look at those apps in the app stores, Headspace and Calm. You can use them for mindfulness exercises. Okay, so that brings us to a mindfulness exercise as well. You can practice this again in your own time. Now, make sure you're sitting comfortably with as little distractions as possible so that you can draw the most benefits from this exercise. This exercise will take a little bit less than 5 minutes. So just relax and listen to this exercise.
In this video, I'm going to be guiding you through a brief 5-minute mindful meditation exercise. Now, mindful meditation doesn't have to be long in order to count, in order to start making a difference in your personal and mental health and wellness. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference. So we're going to start with that. So in just a moment, we'll get started and we'll be doing a 5-minute mindful meditation. So take a minute, get comfortable. You can close your eyes, you can open your eyes, you can do whatever you want, but just to be in a place where there's not many distractions or noises going on, that's kind of comfortable and a nice temperature and somewhere where you're feeling good. We'll start now. So you can close or open your eyes. And as you're sitting, where you're sitting, just notice the chair or the floor or whatever it is that you're sitting on. Notice what it feels like. And as you're sitting there, take some nice, easy breaths in and out. As slow or as fast as you'd like. There's no right or wrong way. It's about being present. It's about being in the moment. And just being comfortable and relaxed where you are right now. And as you're sitting there, just notice any thoughts that are coming into your head. Anything that's coming through your mind. And just kind of notice it and maybe picture the words floating on little clouds or whatever floating through. And just notice the thoughts. Don't try and chase them away. Don't try and do anything about them. Just notice them. Notice them for what they are and without judgment. But they're just thoughts. They're just words, things going through our minds. Take a moment now to draw your attention to your breathing, to gentle, easy, relaxed breaths. Notice the sensation of the air coming in through your nose or your mouth, or however you choose to breathe. Just notice what it feels like in this moment. Notice anything else that's happening around you. Notice any smells that might be in the air, any colors that you might be seeing around you, any background noises, the hum of a computer, the noise of traffic outside, the hum of the fridge if you're at home. And just notice and pay attention to what might be going on around you. And if there's any thoughts that start to come into your mind, just notice them. It's fine. And picture them just kind of words floating through your mind without judging them, without having an opinion on them, that they're just thoughts that your brain is putting together and putting into your mind. You can notice your body, anything that you feel in your body, any breeze across your skin, or any muscle tension, or any joint sensations. Just draw your attention to it. You don't really need to do anything about it. Just notice it. Draw your attention to it. Feel it. And keep breathing. Keep up with your gentle, relaxing, calm, life-giving breaths that are coming in and out. Feel what it feels like for the air to be going down through your mouth and into your windpipe and into your lungs. Notice the feeling of your lungs filling up with air and then the air exhaling again. Notice any final thoughts that are going through your mind, anything that's kind of coming in. Just let it float away or aside or wherever it wants to go. You can bring your attention back to the present, and we're done. That's it. 5 minutes of mindful meditation once a day will make a huge difference in your mental health, in your wellness, in your well-being, and in the way you go about your life on a daily basis.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that. So in closing, I just want to mention, as usual, where you can find us: Student Counseling and Development. All 3 of our campuses have offices, so depending on where you're studying, you can visit the department on your campus. Thank you for attending part 2 of our sessions on general adjustment, focusing on lifestyle and finances. If you have any questions, you may unmute yourself or pop them in the chat box. And we will also provide a list of resources for you in the chat box that you can copy and refer to later for some tips on adjusting.